time. We're going to talk about it. So I have this set up in a bit of a different manner this time because this is not a brand new book series for us, but it's a brand new book. So instead of telling you a blurb, instead of telling you the tropes, instead of doing that type of stuff, I'm going to talk about my general first impressions, what I've rated it. I'm going to extend that question to y'all. And then I have book club questions that I want to ask y'all and we can answer them together. Does that sound good? Scattered, I think either way is fine. Honestly, I think it depends on the internet browser. It's whatever you want to do, baby. Whatever you want to do. Hi, Lotus. Welcome. You're going to forget by tomorrow anyway. That's like my friend Nick, who was just in the channel earlier. Nick had just finished Iron Flame, but went to our ONYX STORM IRL book club anyway. Because Nick was like, oh, I don't care. You can spoil me. It's fine. It's fine. Thanks, Doc. Okay, so it is better for the tab. I didn't actually know that. So, Doc, points to you, baby. Thanks for the lurks, y'all. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay. General impressions for ONYX STORM by Rebecca Yarros. Let me preface this by saying my star rating for the other books. I gave Fourth Wing 5 stars. I gave Iron Flame, which I know is a controversial book, 5 stars. After my initial read and my rereading of sections, I rated this 4 stars, which is still really high. And keep that in mind for when I'm talking about the things I didn't like for this book. I found it to be the weakest personally in the series. And a big part of that was the incredible, immense world building in the beginning of the book. I know why she's doing this. This is not a filler book. This is a setup book for the last 2 books in the series. I think she could have done it in a different manner, personally. The beginning of the book, it didn't make me want to DNF it, but I really struggled until like chapter 25 or 26. Let me know what y'all think if you had that hard time. And before I dive into it and explain a little bit more, I want to have a brief Teacher Violet lesson. Fourth Wing as a series is high fantasy, okay? The only difference between low fantasy and high fantasy is the setting. So if the setting is in our real world, that is considered low fantasy. So a book series that all y'all know that would be part of a low fantasy setting would be Harry Potter. A high fantasy setting, a high fantasy novel is set in a different world. So examples of this would be A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and Fourth Wing. Epic fantasy could be low or high fantasy in nature, but it has to do with something that has a lot of characters and is centered around an incident in which you need to save the world. So, the first book of Fourth Wing is high fantasy. The second book of Fourth Wing is building to be high fantasy, epic fantasy, and that's building upon it in this book. But to have the world building be like here, and then in the third book to be like immediately jump up was not for me. It was not for me. I had a really hard time with it. And I have read high fantasy, epic fantasy books. I don't know where that, she could have worked towards it more in Iron Flame or even Fourth Wing and built it more. But like, you have to build a house with bricks from the ground up. You can't just throw the bricks at the house and hope that it's going to make sense. And that's how I felt in the beginning of the third book. What do y'all think? Let me know. You felt the same, Camellia? Set up for the next 2. Yeah. Hi, Murky. You felt the same way? Some parts of the book felt slow to you. Yeah, me too. Me too. Some parts were really dragged out. Yes. The beginning info dump. Hi, Pepper. 100%. And remember, too, I don't know about anybody else in here, but I reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame to prep me for this book, and I'm going in, I'm like, who the hell are these people? Now, I understand they're using last names. I'm understanding that these are people that have been mentioned before. Had no idea who Llewellyn, what's his name? Llewellyn? Totally thought that was a place, and it is. But every time they brought that name up, I was like, are they talking about a place or who the frick is this guy? Yeah, him. It was just a lot of info dumping. Like, we got to like a much bigger scale, and I'm not mad that we did. I just don't like that it jumped there and it wasn't an even rise. SMG, you didn't find it bad. People might not agree with. Steph, say it. We're all friends in here. I will just mention this right now. We're sharing our opinions. We're not going to make fun of other people for sharing their opinions, as long as you're doing so with grace, right? Okay? As long as you're not like, you don't like that because you're dumb, right? You know what I'm trying to say? It's a place and a person. Exactly. Vibes at this point? Yeah. Hi, Catterday. The confusion is some people are, yeah. You didn't feel overwhelmed by the world building because you expected us to go to the Isle Kingdoms and meet all the new characters. Okay. I had to do a lot of rereading too. Hi, Shan. How are you doing? Only throw bricks if you're lost in New York. Lost interest. No kidding. Did you finish it, Mirka, or did you like switch to the physical one? Hi, Arel. Welcome. Happy belated birthday. However it's spelled. You think she did that on purpose, Kat? One typo of Taryn in the book? Really? I didn't realize that. I feel like it had to jump because Iron Flame ended on such a big event, you know? I think I agree with you on that part. I wasn't expecting maybe like a slow pace beginning, but just the manner in which that she was writing and the even the word usage. I mean, listen, one of the things that I've loved about Fourth Wing is it's a fantasy, but it's an approachable fantasy. Some of the words that people were using, specifically Xaden and Violet, and I want to make sure I'm being clear here. I'm not saying that they're dumb, but it's written in an approachable manner. They were using $5 words. They were using words that, like, to me, Rebecca stuck into a thesaurus or something to make fancy, and she didn't need to do that, and it didn't sound like them. Naturally, I have my tabs in here, but I would love to give you an example, but just know it was within, like, the first 3 chapters. Saturday, happy Monday. Exactly, Doc. I loved ONYX STORM more than the other 2 books. That is the going story I'm hearing from a lot of people. Yeah. You couldn't put it down, yeah? 5 stars. I know a lot of people did not like Iron Flame the way that I did. Yeah. You missed some info. Setup book, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people from the online space had said that ONYX STORM is a filler book and that by the end, everything is the same as it was before. And I didn't get that at all. It's very much a setup book that where everything that we read is going to be important in the final 2 books. 100%. 100%. Y'all mind if I put on some background music? Because I normally just have it with my voice, but I'm like, ooh, it's too much more intimate than I was anticipating. You got a question. I have an answer. What's your question, baby? The start was slow. Yeah. For me, it was up until like chapter 25 or 26. And I'm not even gonna lie, once I got there with, this was the first time that Xaden and Violet were trying to be intimate again. Or like, what was it? When he went away and then he became a professor, I was like, are we gonna have them being separated trope again? I was mad. I was really irritated. I was like, it didn't bother me in Iron Flame, but now let's not be repetitive. Easily immersive. I agree about that. I agree. Cliffhanger for you was the biggest one, and it made you so mad we didn't have the next one. Really? See, I thought it was the best cliffhanger in terms of me to theorize what's going to happen next, but in terms of shock value, I wasn't shocked by it. The biggest shock for me was obviously Fourth Wing. The next biggest one for me was Iron Flame. This one was okay, and I felt really good about not having another book immediately. I really did. It's going to probably be about 2 years till we get the next book. Can I copy your rules for my own stuff? Oh my God, absolutely. Please. If you want to know how I break down our book discussions, message me on Discord. I actually just sent it to my friend the other day. A ton of character and world building that I think will pay off in the next books. Yeah. I will say, if we're talking about things that I think could be removed, some of the aisles were really slow. I know that they're going to be important, but I thought they were a little bit slow. The whole thing with, what's his name? Hayden? It's been so long since I've read this now. Hayden? Violet's ex. The next in line to the throne. What's his name? Is it Hayden? Halden, thank you. Hayden, sorry. Halden. He pissed me off. Now, hold on a second. I understand why he had to be in there. I don't know if we really needed the repetition of a character that was like Kat in the second book so that Xaden would be jealous. And as much as I love Xaden, a 100 out of 10 book boyfriend, I got the ick from Xaden for my first and only time. This is when he finds out that Halden is Violet's ex, and he confronts her and he asks her, did you love him? Like, it gave me such repulsion when he said that because he started to become like a toxic guy and not the Xaden that we know and love. So that whole subplot I felt like could have been removed, and it actually kind of upset me. Yeah, why does it matter? She's with you now. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? And then he ends up being a jerk, and we know that Eric is going to take over the throne. Like, they're doing this huge setup. Eric is going to be a huge character in the following books. Like, we know that. Did we need Halden? Did we? Like, the only saving grace for me for Halden was the imagery that's now seared into my brain of him being carried in a basket. And in my mind, it was like one of those Easter baskets with like the long handle at the top. Yeah. An entitled baby. You have a theory about Halden. Share it. We're on the topic. Share it right now. I want to hear it. He's toxic because of the Venom thing. Yes and no. Yes and no. Because I think he's able to control a lot of his emotions and a lot of his feelings. And he's still calling Violet his love. That was big in this book. So I feel like at that point, it was so early on that it was Xaden being a jealous jerk and not Ben and Xaden being a jealous jerk. That's just my 2 cents, though. Was he going to love her less and be more mad if she said yes? Like, exactly. It's called Lauren trauma, baby. His jealousy didn't surprise you, though you felt it was on brand. Xaden being jealous to me was on brand, but in the manner that he confronted her about it didn't feel on brand to me. But maybe it was Ben and Xaden. Yeah. SMG, we'll see you soon. So I'm going to have some leading questions for y'all right now. We continue to learn more about the world Yaros has created in this installment. What part of the world building did you find the most interesting or exciting? What questions do you still hope will be answered in future books? I actually really liked the Isles, even though I do feel like it dragged on lore-wise. I loved the Isles, and I'm especially interested to visit the Isles that we haven't seen yet, like for the Goddess of Love. I think that's going to be really big coming into play. But I loved how they all had their own culture. And I think all of the Isles that we visited are going to be incredibly important, whether we had like good terms or bad terms with the Isles inhabitants. I think is going to be super, super important in the next 2 books. You think Xaden was less jealous and more insecure because Halden wasn't struggling with Ven and stuff. Good point. Okay, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Me too. The Gods in the Isles were so exciting. This is just a small piece of constructive criticism for me. I hate that we didn't get a map of the Isles, and I understand that we're learning about the Isles as Violet is. But it would have been such a cool tidbit in the back of the book to have an extended map with the Isles, because visually I had nothing to go off of. Nothing to go off of. And I would have loved that. Now, will we get that in the 4th book? Maybe. But I wish that we would have gotten it in this one. The different themes. Yes, it was really cool. The whole temple thing is like Violet blessed by other ones. Agreed. The gods and their belief systems. You also like getting glimpses into the other characters' relationships with their dragons. You want more POV chapters in future books. That was huge. I wasn't anticipating that. I thought we might get one Xaden chapter as a regular chapter or a bonus chapter, but yeah, the other POVs were interesting for sure. Which again is why I'm like, oh, this is going to be an epic fantasy. I think by the 4th book, we're going to be in epic fantasy territory. We're already inching there right now with the threat of the venom and having no immediate cure for them or Xaden, and how they're a threat on the whole world. But with the addition of the other point of view from the characters and having them be much big players, for sure. Yeah, the theories of the Isles, Gods, and Dragons. It felt like they had to get a crash course and rush through them. They're all so varied and unique. Yeah. I think it would have been cooler to have gotten more time spent, but also some of the Isles dragged on. And they didn't always have a fancy plot point with them. For example, I feel like the one with Xaden's mom was probably the most compelling because obviously we wanted his mom lore, but also because of what happened there. Little ones they don't know about, yeah. Touched by Done thing, it was explained in a very elusive way. I don't think you're supposed to. It's going to be bigger, obviously, in the last books, but TLDR, Violet's dad and mom wanted her to be touched by a god. And when brought to the priestess was like, her path is not yet set. So what I believe has been done, cannot confirm fully, but, you know, her dad was writing about the Isles, but I think that that was like a thing to hide the fact that he wanted Violet touched by all the gods. That he already knew about this big threat, and he wanted to prepare his daughter for the threat. Spoil what was going to happen? I guess that's fair, but like it happened so early on in the book that, and it takes up such a big chunk that I wouldn't have been spoiled by it, but that's fair. Oh my god, Riddick was my favorite dragon. Wow, Riddick was my favorite character in this book. Number 1 favorite character outside of Broccoli. There have been so many lines from Riddick that I was like kicking my feet or laughing out loud. Obviously, my favorite line was, well, lucky for you, I fuck like a third year. And then there was another line where one of the dragons was like being kind of like antagonistic towards him. And it's something along the lines where he's like, look at you. Oh, look at you from farther away. I was literally laughing so hard with tears in my eyes. I loved Riddick in this book. Riddick and Atron was wonderful, yeah. I don't want to lose him either. I'm nervous because they gave him a lot of screen time. Zero sympathy for Xaden's mom. In her mind, she was just doing her duties. She was just doing her duties. And it's just so sad. Portal, the cake is a lie, right? Trying to prepare her in some way. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Violet's mom knew about that either. I don't. I think obviously Violet's mom knew more than she let on, but didn't know about that part. There was also a line, and I don't know if I misunderstood this, but this was with Theophany towards the end, where Theophany, we find out, was not Violet's, like, venom mirror, but it was her mom's venom mirror. And she talked about, like, interacting with her mother. So I want to know, did Theophany know Violet's mom prior to turning venom? Did they have a face-off at one point? Like, that's a whole other storyline that we just got, like, a little thread of. And then I'm assuming we're going to hear about it in the last 2 books. I feel like a lot of people never mention that when they're doing the reviews on this. I love Riddick. I love broccoli. Cried with the chef scene. Yup. I hate sewing. Someone we love is going to die. There's no way it's going to be Xaden and Violet. None. I'm thinking Riddick. At this point, I don't think any of the siblings, I don't think Mira or Brennan are gonna die, because we just had that with Mira in this book and she was fine. So to me, I almost wish she didn't do the fake out, because now I just think that they're gonna be safe. I wish that she would inject a little bit of George R.R. Martin into this. Laugh out loud, yeah. So much we don't know about Violet's parents. Yeah, I think that's going to be explored more too. Taryn or Baby and Darna die? I don't think so. I don't think so. How did Violet and Xaden grow and develop in this novel? What did you think of their ongoing romance? Okay, I'm gonna tell you now what I said in book club. Among a group of people I mostly didn't know. I think Miss Yaros left us hanging. I think she could have done more Shadow Daddy stuff. Okay? We were so close to Shadow Smut, and we didn't get there. I felt edged. Number 2, you didn't ask me, but I'm going to tell you. I'm hoping at some point in the 4th book we have dream sex, because with the separation of Xaden, I think that Violet is going to be able to visit Xaden in her dreams. And I am hoping that they're going to get it on in there. Even if, you know, they're separated by time. That's what I said in book club. You're welcome. I think at one time Venin were not banished people. I really think it was turned into a, well, I don't think this way war. Oh, okay. So it's less about, we're under the understanding that, like, they can't control their feelings, but they might just be different. I got you. Do we know if Riddick was the Venin brother? We'll talk about that. I don't believe Riddick was one of the... I don't believe Riddick is the Venin brother. Imogen to survive? Okay, let's talk about it now. Let me tell you who I am convinced it's not. It is not Bodhi, and I will tell you why. The text was smacking us this whole book with Xaden basically doing estate planning and setting it up so that we, the readers, are honed on in how he wants Bodhi to take over and be the next in line, because he doesn't have, you know, an heir. He doesn't have children. Bodhi doesn't want to do it. He's like, all right, fine, like, I'll do it for you, but, like, I don't want to. Like, I'm your right-hand man. So in your minds, you're like, well, it's clearly Bodhi because he wants to be with Xaden. However, Xaden says, and I paraphrase quote, I'm surprised at my new Venin brother. So he's surprised. Would he be surprised with Bodhi? No! He'd be the first guy that he would be expecting. So I don't believe it is Bodhi. I do not. I'm thinking Garrick. I'm thinking Dane. Dane would be a huge freaking surprise. I'm also thinking Eric. And I feel like there's contextual evidence for all of them. What do y'all think? Let me know. Also, I'm just going to put this in here. Dane, eyes on me, Ados? Was he the enemies to lovers this whole time? Not between him and Violet, but like between him and the readers? When I read that line, I blushed. You're saying Sawyer, Garrick, Barlow. Okay. No. Barlow is still there, which, by the way, I read that wrong. I thought Jack Barlow died at the end. But he didn't. He was just injured. No, it's someone separate than Jack Barlow. Maybe it is Bodhi, and that's why Xaden married Violet. Do you want to hear my unhinged theory? The one that I had all my book babes' jaws on the floor? Are we ready for this? Okay. Okay, you gotta strap in. I will tell you right now why Xaden married Violet. Put a 1 in the chat if you ever read Harry Potter, because this is gonna make more sense if you have read Harry Potter. Okay. Violet's wedding ring has Xaden's soul. It's a Horcrux. Hi, Rissa. It has his soul, and I can explain why. I have textual evidence for this theory. So we got to strap in. Okay, number 1. Let's go back to the ring in general, okay? We see earlier on in the book when she's going into Xaden's room that there's the piece of gem that is missing. So he was already preparing for this, right? But he couldn't have possibly known that he, at this point, was going to be giving up his soul. This was an engagement ring. Who do you know out there that gets married as a big rock as their wedding ring? No, that's a band. This was an engagement ring that he was already working on because he loves her. That part where Imogen took away everything, okay? If they went to go get married, the priestess owed them a favor, right? As being part in the temple, the Venom can't step in because part of their soul will be removed. So I believe they got married, put his soul into the ring, then he, along with somebody else, took the dragon eggs, and that's when Violet was like, hey, Imogen, can you please erase my memory? So it's like multi-layered here. Multi-layered. I thought he was dead too. Yeah, technically he is a Venom brother, but not the brother. You're saying Dane? Yeah. I know, Dane deserves that redemption. It's true, Bearwitch. Makes sense? Yes! The compass! That's gonna come into play. I'm just laughing so hard because I believe that every gift that they got from that aisle is going to come into play in the 4th and 5th book. But like, Dane getting that slap. Is he gonna slap somebody else? Is he gonna get slapped again? I just want to know about that one. I hope we see broccoli though. I'm not the only one. You've heard a few others discuss their ring. Yes! I'm glad. I wasn't the only one in book club. I had 2 other book babes agree with me on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100% Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. Yeah. Oh, no, you're fine. So at the end of the book, the dragon eggs are missing. And I believe Xaden took them. He's going to use them as bartering chips with some of the other isles. And towards the end, this is before Violet's memory gets wiped, and he's talking to Sigale. And nothing was physically said between them, but he showed her something. He showed her a plan, and Sigale was like, I'll talk to him. And I think a lot of people were assuming that she's going to talk to Taryn about Violet, but it was about severing the bond between Sigale and Taryn so that they can go off and do their own thing with the dragon eggs. And remember, too, this is Sigale who was, like, pissed at Xaden for, like, 99% of the novel and treating him like crap because she's so upset that he turned Venom. So whatever he showed her for a plan convinced her enough to want to do this. The slap. I know, the whole game of luck was wild. Poor Traeger. You think that's Andarna and her new friends? You think so? Tell me more. Me too. I gotta be honest with you. Traeger, for me, was sadder than Quinn. And I know that we knew Quinn more than Traeger, but it just wasn't... It just didn't hit then. And I also wonder if it didn't hit because of all the other, like, fake outs in the book. Like, I was super emotional with Mira, and then she was fine. So that I think by that point, I was like, you're just playing with me. And it just didn't hit as hard. I don't know. Yeah, me too. And Darna, I actually cried. I cried. Yeah, 100%. Everybody else, like, including the actual deaths, I was like, okay. No big deal. Speaking of Andarna, how did you feel about all of her teenage sass? What did you think of her family and their motivations for originally leaving her egg on the continent? That's fucked up. That is so beyond fucked up. Why would you leave your beautiful baby child in the hands of people that you don't trust as an unofficial test that, like, depending on how you raise her, will figure out if we should, like, save you or not? Like, that is so fucked up. That pisses me off. Like, they think that they're so intelligent, this, that, and the other thing, and they look down upon humans, but, like, that is such an innately, like, stupid act. Mira and Andarna? You hope they didn't? I think they're doing it to protect, like, you know, Terrence, Gale, Violet, and Xaden. Me too, Hanny. I didn't expect it. Cat deserves someone. I think so too. Maybe we'll see another love interest pop up between Cat and somebody else. I feel like Cat and Eric would be kind of cool. Clearly, Dane and Sloane, I think, are gonna be a couple. They left her, then got mad. Yeah, she's just a baby. She severed her and Violet's bond. I was crushed, literally cried. Yeah, and the whole time Mira was like, she's acting like it's a breakup right now because she was in bed for 4 days. Hello? Stop it. Taryn, no, you got it right. Taryn, T-A-I-R-N. Closer you're getting grumpy in your old age. The duality of dragons and man. SMG, that's exactly what we're talking about right now. Yeah, a lot of us cried. I loved her sass. And then when she's explaining everything to the dragons, how she's getting, like, so excited, in my mind, she's just, like, bouncing around and, like, half flying and being like, look there, like, go over there. And then, like, so animated and so adorable. Oh. You think Kat is secretly in love with her best friend? Oh, really? Okay. Traeger, because Kat finally opened herself to someone else and bam, that hit you out of nowhere. Here, go be raised by wolves. What do you mean you behave like a wolf, you disgrace? Right. What did they think was going to happen? She came back too quickly. Well, maybe we'll find out in the 4th book why that happened. Like, what was her motivation for returning that fast? What? Clearly something happened off book, off page, right? Her acting out. Yeah, Labrador toothless vibes, exactly. My little sweet baby. My little sweet baby. All right, we got about, I don't know how long we want to keep doing this. Maybe 12 minutes left. We already talked about that. Why do you think Andarna chose to return to Violet? Do you think she had second thoughts about it? Do you think something her family members said made her return? Do you think that she felt something happening? I think she knew something was going to happen, whether that was from the other dragon telling her or, like, maybe she saw something. I feel like it was purposeful for her to come back. That wasn't just oh, just kidding, I don't want to leave her. I feel like it was more than that. Exactly, Irish. No title. No, we know nothing, Bearwitch. She hasn't even been writing it yet. What Yaros will do in between writing 4th Wing is she takes a break and then she will write a contemporary romance. Then she will get back to writing something for 4th Wing. You're saying all of it? She felt Violet needed her? I think it's because Violet and Taryn are her true family. Oh. Yeah. So you're saying it could have been both, Gem? felt Violet use her power and knew the bond wasn't fully broken and Violet needed her. Oh, I like that. Mix of most of it. She only left to convince them to finally help. Oh, so it was part of her plan. Okay, okay. Riz, that's how you feel too, babe? Maybe what we think about dragon bonds is different. Especially for the Irids, yes. Okay. Could have hurt Andarna as much as it hurt Violet, true. I'd rather wait and have a better quality book, both in content and production quality. Oh, I'm right there with you, babe. Listen, if I can hold out for the next Game of Thrones book, I'm fine with waiting 2 years. That used to be the going rate, 2 to 4 years in between books. This fast-paced production with novels now, I don't like it. I don't like it for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't like it for the authors. I don't like it because they're feeling forced into doing it. I don't like it for the writing. I want the best quality that there could be. And I felt like you could tell in this book specifically that there were parts that were rushed. Again, at least to me. In the beginning was my red flag. That, like, she said she wrote this in 4 months and she had a chronic flare. I'm like, I could tell. And I'm not blaming her. I'm blaming Red Tower Publishing. I'm glad she put her foot down for the next book. You think Andarna can still manipulate time? Oh, okay. In the writing? Yeah. 100%. Would be Xaden, and then once he turned into Venom, I thought that would be the case even more. So when it said the blackness, the ONYX Storm coming. Yeah, you called it! Yeah. Rye writing a book or take a break from writing another book is wild. I know. But no, she's taking a break from now until the summertime. She was really upset last year because she didn't get to spend the summer with her kids. She's a mom. And she promised them that she'd spend the summer with them this year. And I'm like, that's fucking right! That's fucking right! Spend some time with your boys. Both Tan and Sigale felt her sort of adopted parents caused her to feel she was needed, and that's why she came back. I love that theory. Yeah. And exactly, when I say that parts are rushed, right? Again, I still gave this book 4 stars. Like, this was not a DNF. This is still, like, an incredible book. Years to learn all she needed to know, and she came back soon after. Right. You now want 4 years between books to read other books? You don't think that Violet Dreamwalking is Andarna's signet. I think it's a second from Tarn. Okay. So my question to you, now that we're on the topic of signets. Do you think we learn in the book that dragons that stay within family lines are the reason that people get 2+ signets, right? Do you think it's still a chance? Do you think it's automatic if you are one of the rebels' kids and have a tattoo? Like, do you think the tattoo is signifying that? Or it's still only based on family lineage? Because I feel like there's something that's going to pop up that not necessarily based off of lineage per se, but that the dragons are like, oh, hey, we've already been bonded to this one and this is family. So they're more likely to help out. Or if they see the relic from the rebellion kids, they're like, oh, yeah, we clearly want to bond with one of them. I feel like there's some dragon plotting that's going on that we're going to find out about. Like why they've been helping out. Breaking it up and writing something else first. Yeah, you know? Get the juices flowing. Kind of like a palate cleanser. Keep your ADHD mind happy. Yeah. The computer screen and said, no, it isn't book 4. See? Yeah, she needs a break. The dragons who have connections to those families are looking for the relics. Okay. But who proved that? If it was the teacher, then he doesn't actually know a lot about the dragons from what I've seen. Exactly. Could this be a red herring sort of situation? Could it be an unreliable narrator situation? Like, oh, okay, it says that, but is it true? can give more but chose to only give one. Okay. The rebellion kids are trying to save people, which is why they got more. Interesting. The dragons were building an army of their own with the marked ones. I like that theory a lot. I think the reason that some have two signets is to do with the line about magic needing balance. The Venin are stronger, so they need to be. I love that. I'm so glad that you brought that back up. There is a lot about balance in the book, right? About mirrored image and balance with the gods. I think that plays into it really, really well. Really, really well. I think the dragons know more, are in more control than the humans think. Right. I also know for sure, that Taryn knows way more about what's going on than he's let Violet or us know. I also believe that Naolin is going to be a huge character. I do not believe he is dead. Also, I believe that Naolin is Brennan's lover, whether that is in current or in the past. And the whole thing that happened between Naolin and Brennan was something like basically the mirror image of what happened with Xaden and Violet. Translated by a scribe. Right! Exactly, Sloth Princess. Yeah. Hi, Bailey. What you think, too? The Empyrean has more secrets than we think, especially now that we know all the Rebellion's kids have bonded dragons from their family lineage to signets. Yes! You think some of the dragons are bad. Okay. T, please. They think Papa Sorrengail found the cure for the Venin, which was infusing dragon power into Violet using Feathertail blood. That's why Violet's hair is part silver and why Andarna chose her. Why she could always talk to both dragons and could talk to them when the other riders couldn't talk. I agree. I definitely feel like Violet, if she is not the cure, then something within her is going to be like the savior of what's going on. I agree. Karen knows more. You agree about Naolin? About the number 6? Yes. 6 dragon eggs missing. There's 6 main gods and goddesses. Yup. Do you think he turned Venin since he was a siphon? I do. And I think he turned Venin to protect Brennan. Who, by the way, I think Brennan might also be a Venin. There's a very specific line in the book where I didn't think he was before, but then he started acting a little like suspect. And he's telling Violet that like he found out about Xaden and she's shocked, right? This is like right before Mira found out, right? And like he wasn't upset about it. That's number 1. Number 2, we don't see on the page that Xaden told him. So I'm like, oh, like the Venin like telepathy. They're talking to each other. Number 3, Papa Violet told Violet, only trust Mira. Something is up with Brennan. 100%. Now, whether, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he could be compromised without knowing it. So, Papa Violet knew something. Papa Violet knew something. The runes were, 100%. Yeah, the runes, yup. Naolin turned Venin and was Taryn's previous rider, which is why Taryn won't talk about him. Well, that's what we know. That's what we know and why Taryn has been so secretive, but I think there's more to it. Yeah? Saved, brought back, yeah. He knew what Xaden was, yeah. To mend Xaden, right. The dragons siphon their power. The Irids reference power in the sky and how the dragons lost their way. They need to siphon power from the sky, and that's why Violet has power on the islands. Yes! I love that. Yo, I love that. No, please, feel free. Feel free. Welcome on in, Bailey. Hope you're having a great day. But he thought Brennan was dead, right? Papa Violet knew a lot more than we knew. They already knew about the rebellion. Papa Violet already knew stuff was coming out. I mean, the mom knew about the rebellion. Violet's mom. So I don't know. I don't know what they might have thought. Would Xaden have told Violet if Brennan was Venin? Because Xaden can feel other Venin. Yes and no. Remember, at that point, he was still a baby Venin. And he didn't even really know the extent of his powers yet. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Could that have written that after Brennan died? Maybe. Actually, no. Well, now I don't know. In my mind, I thought, like, time frame wise, that he did the Isles and all that stuff, like, way before Brennan was even thought to have been dead. Nayland made Brennan stay alive by turning Venin, reanimating him like a wyvern. Oh, I love that. I love that theory. Rebel high. Agreed. Brennan and Sus, I think it all falls to Nayland. Yeah. What if Brennan is the brother Xaden can't kill because he's Venin? And now that Xaden and Violet are married, they are brothers. Well, right. That is interesting because there is several layers of that, right? His new brother. Did that mean brother because of Venin or brother by marriage? Good point. Good point. Asher died very soon after Brennan died, right? Not super close out. I thought it was like 3 years or something. I can't remember now. If anybody knows, let me know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Taco, hi, honey. How are you doing? Are we sure that Violet's dad is really dead? Another point. Part of me thinks he is. Part of me thinks he isn't. The love that Papa and Mama Violet shared was really deep, and I feel like if he was alive and Mama Violet knew that, she would have told Violet. But I'm not fully convinced that he's dead either. I'm not. Rugs! Thank you so much for gifting out a sub to Taria. I really appreciate that. Taria, welcome back! Thanks, Rugs. Thank you. I'm sorry. We've been yapping about before the ads. I'm sorry. Thanks, pals. Thank you, thank you, thank you. DK, thanks for the lurk. Violet was blessed as a child, so I think he traveled before Brennan died. Yes. Yes. And I know that there's an age difference, but I think all this happened before he died. But now, however, you could be saying, well, here's the one point that doesn't match up with that, and we don't know. When did he write this stuff? When did he have this letter ready for Violet where he's like, only trust Mira? Was that while he was taking her around? Was that after we thought he died? I can't place that. I can't place that. There's an ad break for 2 minutes. Thanks, Almighty. Thanks, pals. All right, we got a minute left till ad, so let's just sit here and be weird. I'll take a break after we finish our conversation. I'm fine right now. I'm gonna put my gloves back on. Great convo so far, y'all. This has been so fun. This is so fun. I got a couple of more questions for you, too, that I would love to hear opinions about. Rugs, thanks for being so sweet. Take your meds. Do it. 30 seconds left and ads are over. Oh. All right. Let's get these bad boys back on. Actually, how about we all have some freaking water? Water your flesh, prisons. Merca, I'm so glad you're loving it. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. Every time we have a book club, I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm so lucky this gets to be part of my job, dude. Are you kidding me? I love this. I used to host book clubs for my students when I was teaching. So this is still, it's kind of similar to how I would do one of those book clubs too. Hi, Cappy. How are you doing? Welcome back from ads. Claire, feel better, sweetheart. Thanks for being cozy at home. Have we talked? It's been brought up briefly, Lauren. Would you like to expand on it? Share with us. Filtering your water now? You better be doing it. One of the clues about first live, and the answer is General Sorrengail's dragon. What if the dragon bonded both her and Asher, and he secretly had a foresight signet, even as a scribe? Interesting. I could see it. I could see it. Camellia, thank you. After Violet finally gets up after Andarna leaving, Mira and Brennan say they got dropped off at their grandma's, but Violet was too little and left with Dad. Okay, I remembered that part. And Mira was really upset that, like, all this stuff was left for Violet. Remember how there was, like, a lot of sisterly tension in the book, right? Like, why Violet? Why Violet? Why Violet? Like, what do I get? Oh, I'm just gonna go confront our grandmother that still exists and see if I can find out more information. I heard you talked about Shadow Smut and Dream Smut. Now I need it in books 4 and 5. Rebecca, deliver. Rebecca? Okay, Sawyer knows about Xaden and saw how much Xaden's been struggling. Sawyer is feeling less powerful since the loss of his leg. True! That is a big motivation. Big motivation for his character, especially with the loss of his leg. What is he gonna do? Sawyer makes the kill in Rhiannon's point of view, but then no other visuals. Rise had to look for the person who was insecure and seeking more power, going unbonded year 1 and injured during year 2. Xaden didn't kill him, so it's someone who cares for him or cares for Violet, who has never hurt her, or it's someone Violet loves. I agree. I think Sawyer, I could see that for sure. 100%. 100%. Grandma's info dump. Oh, she knows a lot. I'm excited for that. He also lost his executive officer position in year 2 after they merged with the Flyers. That's true. Very true. Rebel, I love it. It's just a happy coincidence. A happy coincidence, but to my favor. Dane could too. That was one of the ones that I'd suggested was Dane. Mostly because it's like, who could I potentially put in there that would be like so out of left field? And I thought Dane. Who would I be most surprised about becoming the next Venom brother? Dane. Yeah, 100%. But again, I have no really big textual evidence supporting that. It was just my knee-jerk reaction. Like, if I'm writing for, if I'm writing ONYX Storm and I want people's jaws to be on the ground, Sawyer, until Rise said it was someone who is missing at the end of the book. And then we have to backtrack and see who the hell is missing. Sawyer or Eric? Liam told Riddick, guard her like you're me. In an ONYX Storm, Riddick did just that. Yeah. A princess of Venom? Damn. That's why you thought it was Garrick? You're sold on the new brother being Bodhi. Yes, he was sick on the floor. But is that a red herring? Feeling less than since his signet couldn't work against the Venom. But if he did turn Venom, his signet could counteract their powers. Ryan mentioned to pay attention to who was missing. If someone could correct me, it's Xaden, Bodhi, Garrick, and Eric. Yes. But also Sawyer. Isn't Sawyer also missing? It does have to be a boy. It does in this contextual thing because the term brother is used. Yeah. Is this like a Good Burger moment? Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? I'm a dude. He's a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes in the Venom. Woo! It could be. I mean, y'all. You know what? Y'all know as much as me. It could be. It could very well be a gal. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? That's why I'm thinking like maybe Eric because hello, like an actual precog. And how is he honing that? Because they're not in school. Can he already see his death? Is it because he sees his death he's making these choices? He's like, oh my, well, I'm going to die 7 weeks from now, so I got to do this thing with Zayden? Like, I don't know the extent of the precog in this universe. And the only other thing that we have to go off of is General whatever his name is, who can only precog battles, not is a full precog. I know, Bailey. I had to reread that twice. I'm like, I can't do a third time. I need a break. I feel like I've been living, eating, breathing Fourth Wing since November. And I'm like, after today, babe, I'm not even going to read any fanfic. Give me like a year break, then we'll get back. Are there 2 of them? Okay. Eric is going to be huge key in the future books, I think. Me too. He's going to be a huge player. Yeah, we got you, Lauren. A theophany is a visible encounter with a deity. The word comes from the Greek word theos, meaning God, and phanon, meaning to show or appear. So, theophany, wow, her name had a lot of lore around it, a lot of secret messages and meanings. A visible encounter with a deity, which we did get that for sure. Yeah. Hi, Em! You've been reading Zero Fantasy after ONYX Storm? I don't think I did either. No, that's a lie. I read more of my my other series, but it's like fluffy. It's not a lot of world building. So, it's an approachable fantasy, but yeah. I really want to dive back into a good romantasy after this. I feel like I've been holding off until our book club today, so. We love you, Lauren! Eric kept everything so close to his chest throughout the book, so I wasn't surprised he had already manifested and didn't say anything, but I think she set him up for the next book so well. Yeah, for sure. For sure. 100%. I think that too. Okay, last question. Last question. Yaros has indicated that the Empyrean series will encompass 5 books. Are you excited to get 2 more books, or do you wish things would have wrapped up sooner? Unpopular opinion coming in. 3, 2, 1. I believe this series should have been shorter. I believe that this series would have done better in terms of writing and pacing and storylines and story plots at 3 books. The only reason I'm saying that is you can tell in this book that things got dragged out. And yes, I once again want to mention that I know these things are going to be important in the last 2 books, but this was really the book that I said, it's feeling dragged. It's feeling dragged. And from what I know from online, it was supposed to be a 3-book series. And Red Tower Publishing was like, hey, can you make this longer? Oh my, this is a bestseller. Can you lengthen it a little bit? So I think ideally 3 would have still been fabulous. 4 would have probably been good. 5, I think, is pushing it. But we'll see what the last 2 books bring. Why we're seeing really powerful signets? No, I don't think maybe somebody mentioned it. Or is it back about the balance issue or completely different? 5 for you as max for a series. Yeah, you know, From Blood and Ash is like 6 books. Or the 6th one is coming out, but then they also have the prequel series that's like 3 books. Once you get like over 4, I really gotta be committed to a series. Like, I really gotta love it deep in my heart to go beyond that. To keep staying in this world. It's gotta have some stuff for me. It's gotta have good character arcs. It's gotta have compelling plot points that I don't think are filler. It's gotta have good setups. It's gotta have good writing. So, we'll see about the last 2. Yeah. They made her drag it out. I can't see now, like, that being combined. That, to me, those plot points, whew, I don't know. But then think about Fourth Wing, too. There were a lot of side plots in Fourth Wing that we could have also done without. 4 to make it, 5 there will be filler. You think so? From not reading and just being in the book clubs, I think the main series would have been good at 3 or 4 books and branch out to spin-offs. Yeah. It would have been cool because, I mean, they could have done the same thing that Game of Thrones has done with the TV shows, where there's various different wars. We could have had a prequel series. We could have had, different things like that. Maybe that will still happen. You never know. There's no way the Red Tower is going to want to wrap this up. Ain't no way. I think it's going to be ultimately Rebecca's idea if she wants to continue in the universe or not. Yeah. Lend itself to 4 for you. They could have been thrown together. But I can see that she really wants to get heavy in the lore of God's religion secrets. I'm not mad since I really enjoyed Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm, but I hope we get more answers next book and aren't left dumbfounded. Yeah, we learned and had a lot of questions left unanswered in Onyx Storm. And I'm hoping for book 4, we get at least half of those answered. I understand you need to leave some things for book 5. I'm not stupid, right? But I don't want us right off the bat to be like, oh, here's 5 more questions we have to answer. I want more things tied up. I feel like Rebecca really did great doing that in Fourth Wing. Less so in Iron Flame and obviously Onyx Storm. Fourth Wing, when something was introduced as a problem, okay, it within like a few chapters it got wrapped up, neat little bow. I want to see that in the next book. Imogen and Rhiannon POVs. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love them. And I think part of that, there were certain specific big things that happened, but those parts felt like filler to me. They did. Specifically, there were certain things that they were saying that, like, Imogen and Rhiannon, they just sounded like Violet. They didn't seem like their own characters. And again, I know there's certain important things that happened during their POVs, and it was a great as an additional layer because obviously Violet is not there. Xaden is not there. I didn't hate it, but I feel like that stuff could have been taken out and the story still would have been great. Possum, good luck, baby! Good luck, good luck. The world in chapters so much you would read it as much as you can about it. You have the Target edition copy paste art, makes you not want to support Red Tower. Right? Where it was like, yeah, it's just stuff that they bought and used. It's not stolen artwork, but it wasn't custom artwork. They just added upon it for that stuff. You'd love a book from Andarna's point of view. That would be adorable. Imogen felt like a filler character. You don't want it to be a regular thing. Yeah. If it fits in correctly with the story and is not rushed, I'm okay with that. And who knows if we're going to have something where we will have multiple points of view in the next book, because remember now, dragon eggs are missing. Who took them? What's going on with that? If we visually see that, we could get into something where it's like, okay, we're following a certain group while this is going on. We're following a certain group while this other thing is going on. It may very well be that, like, we're in epic fantasy territory in the 4th book. Multiple points of view. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. Ultimately, it's still Violet's story, but that doesn't mean that it only needs to be her story. I don't know. Wasn't really focused on at all this book. Yeah, it would have made more sense to get Riddix. Yeah. How serious Rhiannon takes her position, but we already know that. It didn't need to be, nailed down for us. I agree. You can feel their personalities. Hi, Angel, how are you doing? I hope you're having the best Monday. You made omelets? The dragon eggs will play out? Me too. Setting us up for that. I feel like I didn't get as involved with the outline characters in this one. I didn't feel much for Quinn's death because of that. I agree. And it's not like Quinn was a new character, but she was seen so seldomly that when she did actually die, I was like, okay, who is she again? Where have we seen her? It just didn't mean as much, I guess. Yaros did something really, really great when Liam passed in the first book. Like, we got plenty of page time with him. We found out about his background. We found out about his lineage, like his sister, you know, things like that. Like, we really got to know him. And these other side characters, I feel like we didn't. So their deaths were just not as profound. But that could just be my personal opinion. I don't know. That's all I've got. Liam made me cry, and I felt so guilty not crying at the other deaths. And again, I think I got, like, really sad for Traeger over Quinn when we had more page time with Quinn. And I just, you know, whatever. Forgot about Quinn until that moment. The only emotional part of that was seeing it from Imogen's point of view, but that wasn't rough to get through like Liam's death was. Yeah, same. There was something more to Liam's death. I think the big thing for Liam, too, is that Violet, like, he was like a catalyst. I hate saying plot device, but it is really true. Even though he was a great character, he was a big plot device for Violet, realizing that everything she knew about the rebellion was wrong. See, like, hearing things from Liam's point of view, because Liam is sharing this with her, not because he feels that he has to, but he wants her to know these things about what happened to them, what happened to their family. And Violet realizing, like, oh shit, like, what I was taught was wrong. Like, they rewrote history. Sound familiar? So that to me is why it hit so much harder. That, yes, he was a great character and a great friend to Xaden, but let all of us know, Violet included, that everything we knew up until then about the rebellion was wrong. Just so they could die off, maybe. Graphic audio, and you sobbed so hard at that part. I know, it's so good on graphic audio. Got to know him so well because he was Violet's bodyguard and close friend. She confided in him at times. Yeah. Quinn's death was supposed to make you feel a disconnect. It was in the middle of a huge fight in a war. Soldiers often give all they can in a war and still don't live to be seen as a hero. They needlessly die. I think that's a great point. That is a great point. That, like, hey, this war that's going on is still really deadly. Yeah. You know, interesting tidbit, SMG. From what Rebecca has said is, like, she doesn't, outside of Jack Barlow, if somebody is dead, they're supposed to be dead. That's what she said, and she doesn't want people to think that X, Y, and Z is coming back. With that being said, though, was that a red herring that she just said? I don't know. I think Liam is dead. Papa Violet, up in the air. Huge plot point in the last book, then it just never came up again. I took that as she was on death's door, and seeing Liam really got her through what she was going through. Like that little motivation aspect. And I also think that it was like fan service to have Liam as a character again, even though he was from Violet's imagination. And Brennan. If Papa Violet came back, I think it would be interesting for sure. But we won't know for 2 years. Chat, thank you so much for our ONYX STORM book club today. I hope you loved it as much as I did. We will probably be doing a reread whenever the 4th book comes out, but that's not going to be for a few years. With that being said, we are going to be doing our March book club as a nice palate cleanser away from any romance or fantasy. We are going to be reading The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This was a New York Times bestseller. It is incredible. The little blurb that I can tell you, this is probably going to be an emotional read. Our main character finds herself in the Midnight Library because she has died. And in the library, there are books that you can read where, you know, you have a divergence point in your life, whether you wanted to go to school or you wanted to just work from home. And you read those books, and she's trying to figure out if she should have made different decisions in her life. It sounds amazing. It sounds, as I mentioned, like really emotional. I think we're going to have a really good time. So that is March's book club